Triple double banger, guys. What's up? We got some updates from the Root Network white paper. We're going to talk about the token economy super quickly, and I'll try to keep this short, simple, sweet, to the point, and also as a kind of catch up for anyone that doesn't know what this is. So there is a network, and it's going to be using the Root token, and the token itself is going to be used for governance of the Root protocol, and then also for proof of stake for network security. Validators or delegators who stake Root will earn fees from various network activities to ensure there is sufficient incentive to operate a node and stake. The block rewards for staking will come in several forms. Gas spent in the network is distributed to block producers. The default gas token, XRP, provides validators with instant real value for producing blocks. Initial bootstrap pool, 5% of the Root tokens will be distributed to block validators and stakers over the first 24 months. And I just want to preface this. I think there was this or one other part somebody mentioned when I posted just a screenshot of this, that this might have changed a little bit about the percent or the months, but fees generated by the various network of runtime activities, including NFT trading fees from the non-fungible asset runtime, token minting fees in the fungible asset runtime, and trading fees for the DEX and the gas fee exchange. So if you can think of an NFT marketplace, if you think of Uniswap or SushiSwap, combine that all together, and we got this. So I think it really comes down to if the users get adopted and they keep onboarding more people, I think this really has a chance to be quite successful. And then also for the Root token, you have the Fluff World utility and game economy. And so Root is the primary in-game token for the Fluff World game economy and can be used for a range of things such as, but not limited to, land reward mechanics, game rewards, stake to earn content, charging up in-game items, breeding, new content purchases, and stake to play. So a whole lot of different things. And again, we're always asking about utility for different tokens. You go and check out, just the simple tokens on here. The top 100, probably like 5 to 6 of them, you can say what they do. And that's about it. So again, I think there's a lot for disruption in terms of actually creating utility with these different partners. And the biggest change that happened within this white paper is the token distribution. So for community rewards is now 20%, which is increased by 100% compared to the first one. One of the big things that people are kind of questioning right now is, do they have any kind of an initial token allocation? That was the thought, or that what was mentioned before, but they recently had a delay due to regulatory concerns, and I think there is a chance that they might be taking away that initial just for holding it claim due to those regulatory reasons. We haven't gotten clarification on that. I can imagine more from the team coming, so no, I'm just reading that, but that's the way that I take from it. So for these community rewards, each month ecosystem challenges will be set on the Root network, each with a number of rewards available. The total number of rewards per player will be determined by their future score. The future score is driven using future pass technology and will be calculated based on things like the type of assets you hold, the number of assets you hold, how long you've held them, the rarity of those assets, the activities those assets have been involved with, along with other contributions players have made to growing the ecosystem, such as social media activity. The score is dynamic and will evolve over time and will be influenced based on your participation. So for land mechanics, 20% of the tokens will be allocated to game mechanics within the Third Kingdom. The upcoming Third Kingdom white paper will be released, more details on how this will work. So within the community itself, there's some back and forth with trying to understand like what the land mechanics are, because some assume that just from owning a borough, which is getting you land within the Third Kingdom, is going to be that entire allocation. Where other people are saying, no, there might be something involved with those boroughs and whatnot, but it's the land mechanics behind everything that's not just from owning a borough and activating within there. So we've seen a huge run on boroughs yesterday, and not that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just think that there is a little bit of confusion about how the land mechanics are going to work, but still very excited to see how that plays out. The Ecosystem Development Fund, 10% no change. Block Reward Bootstrap at 10% increased by 100%. Validators and stakers will receive up to 10% of the tokens over 260 weeks as a bootstrap, while the token fee economy gets up to speed. So I think this is really interesting. So for the Block Reward Bootstrap, and similar to the staking, I think that the NFT marketplace right now is really fixated on Blur, and they've seen people that are farming that token. I think that we see something kind of similar with this, except now it's for a network token on top of, an entire network instead of just an NFT marketplace. And we saw how well Blur did before with that and the amount of attention it got. And so I think that this is one of the reasons that people should be paying attention, because people act quick. When Blur came out, people rushed to that. And I think once this gets a little more traction, there's a chance for this to happen as well. So Futureverse and this root network actually kind of started with Sens, which is another token. So 10% of the root allocation goes to Sens. Many of the root network's runtimes and technology have come from our collaboration with the SensNet team. We are rewarding Sens token holders with the ability to burn their Sens tokens into the root network and over time to receive one root for each Sens 1 of 1. We have seen people that have gone and said, hey, why don't you just buy this if you think that root's going to be of a certain value? So that's theoretically something you could do if you find that interesting. For Futureverse, as the core developer, the Futureverse company will hold 15% of the tokens, and they will be locked for 100 weeks and then vested for a further 100 weeks. Big update here. For liquidity providers, we're at 5%. Removed all pre-sale. So the teams talked about how the token is going strictly to the community, and that was one of the biggest kind of points of getting within the Fluff World ecosystem of like, hey, if you want in on this, you're going to need to have some of the NFTs. And so for the liquidity providers, they've removed all pre-sale. Very curious who their launch partners are going to be. You're going to have to imagine it's going to be somebody decent because you're going to need some liquidity within that. But we'll kind of see how that goes out. So the DAO Treasury, this is new. So reallocated to community rewards and network rewards, the Treasury will manage a further 5% of the tokens among other tokens retained within the Treasury. And these tokens will be locked for 50 weeks. The DAO will control their allocation. And then advisors, you're at 5%. And so I don't know. I think this entire thing is primed for being the next big thing within the space. And just going over the content here and the final thing, just as kind of a quick little wrap up. This is really nice that the team put this on at the end. Because I think a lot of people are questioning, how does it work for games, these shows, these different content? Everybody's building these IP. What's going on with Futureverse? So, the content. Most metaverse companies start and end at content, but this is only the tip of the spear. Great content is the key to onboarding and sustaining diverse, engaged communities. The Futureverse has approached building content out in 3 ways. Number 1, best-in-class first-party content ecosystem. All great content properties are built on the great stories. Many of the Web3 metaverse approaches jump straight to creating a world which in almost all cases leads to an empty, unused wasteland. The correct way to go about scaling content in Web3 is to follow the path below. Stories and lore, characters, content, small spaces, activities, large spaces, game. In each step, you must take time to allow the community to co-create the narrative and content, growing the scale of content with the input and at a scale of the size of the community. This way, you ensure there is a rich and vibrant world for users to interact with that will engage them over a long period of time. The community has to care. Our existing ecosystem of content is one of the most vibrant in Web3, with one of the highest levels of engagement of any major collection. By taking the time to establish an interconnected world of characters, content, and stories, we have laid a strong foundation to build a world and games on top of. Number 2, partnerships with leading IP rights holders. We are partnering with some of the leading IP rights holders in the world across film, TV, social media, and sports to bring their content to life on our platforms and technology. We are excited to share the details of these game-changing relationships in the near future. And so just to touch on some of the ones, they're with Authentic Brands Group, which has Shaq, Reebok, and they're also rumored to potentially have something with Ready Player One. If you know Aaron, who is one of the co-founders for Futureverse and all of this, he's mentioned mentioned Ready Player One and that they have a partnership with the leading metaverse IP. Just assume that that's that, and I think that's going to shock a lot of people if that is true. And there was another post a while ago that sounded like they might be with Lord of the Rings in a connection with Warner Brothers, and then they do have a FIFA partnership currently, which they have an AI football manager type game, which is really, really cool. And then number 3 here, the Ecosystem Development Fund. We will continue to incubate ventures and community-driven content that create richer stories and solve real user problems. We will invest into the visionaries that were born ready to invent and build our future. In a similar way to how the Futureverse technology and content has come together, we will continue to architect new collaboration frameworks and use cases for the open metaverse. Quick little update on the white paper. Communities getting rewarded significantly. Partnerships rolling in. Cool cats are now on board. It's getting spicy, baby.